Hi my friends, thanks for joining me here once again. It's been 10.5 months since I last dyed my hair. If you're someone who's been seeing some of my videos, and in particular if you've seen some of my mishap videos, then you already know that I got into the shower one day after admiring my white streaks, and when I came out I went back to admire them again because I'd always liked seeing them against the dark hairs when they were wet because the contrast popped out a little bit more. So a few minutes after I was done with the shower and the steam cleared enough so that I could see in the mirror, I noticed that instead of the nice light and dark contrast I was expecting to see, it looked like someone dumped a sunset all over my head instead. And I wasn't too concerned at first. For some reason I just thought it was going to come out the next time I washed my hair, but the next time I washed my hair, that was not the case. If you're not someone who's seen that, and if you're curious as to what happened, you can check out those videos and find out for yourself. Some of the things that took place are kind of playing a part into some of what I'll be talking about here, because although I haven't dyed my hair in 10.5 months, parts of it don't exactly look like it's been that long, and that would be why. So let's take a look at what we've got going on up in here. This part did get a little bit affected in that mishap. You can see some of the slight discoloration here. This was all pretty white before. I had been experimenting largely with not washing my hair with shampoo, and so some of my showers I would just rinse with water, and every few times I would rinse with vinegar, and that seemed to be keeping my hair nice and white in the whitish silvery parts. But after this whole mishap happened, that has not exactly been the case. So this, you can kind of tell that there's a bit of a yellowish tint here. And another thing that happened, I discussed this in one of my mishap updates, I forget which one, but you could actually see between the initial problem that happened and then the subsequent, I believe it's the subsequent update, that it actually looked like more of a similar thing kind of happened, because the discoloration kind of encroached in this area in here. It kind of, I mean, it didn't cover it all like it did over here. Over here it covered it all. So over here it looks like I've only stopped dyeing my hair like 2 months ago, which is, you know, sad. But you can see it's lightening up a bit. You can see this is really white. Like, you know, if you look at my dyed hair and you realize that this was originally this, you know, well this wasn't this color, but at one time the hair that was growing here, I was dyeing, it was this color, so obvious this is like whitish gray hair in reality, but it has this like kind of obnoxiously gross peaish yellow ugly color on it. So yeah, this section looks like I only stopped dyeing it about a couple months ago. Looks like about a nice inch has grown out. And I actually do think that some more discoloration has happened since the initial time. And I still don't fully know what's going on with that, because this wasn't really happening to my hair for the first 7 months of when I stopped dyeing. If you look at any of my transition videos up through the 7-month point, you'll see that my whitish hairs look really white and sparkly, and then that changed. So anyway, at 10 months, now at the 6-month point I think it was, I had measured my hair. I think it was the 6-month point. And so the average growth rate is a ½ an inch per month for most people. Now my hair definitely did used to grow at that rate because I spent 7 years in a long hair salon, and the long hair specialist there always kept very detailed records on all of the clients, and he measured everyone's hair every time they got a trim. So he was always keeping track of how much their hair had in fact grown between one cut and the next. So he was always verifying if their hair was growing in the average range, above it or below it. And then especially if it was below it, he would start talking to them about things that might be going on in their health or their nutritional state to help bring that growth up. In my case, it was always hitting right about that ½ inch a month. The 6-month point, I think it was, I did measure it, and it wasn't exactly 3 inches. It was maybe like 2 3/4. So it was about a 1/4 inch behind. But the hair on the sides was actually less. I think it was either 2 or 2.5, and I don't remember. So I did get my handy dandy guide. I don't think I would actually have 5 inches because I do think I'm growing hair a little tiny bit slower. But even if it should be 4.5, you're gonna see that some of this has really been tainted by that mishap that happened, because, and it's very hard to do while I'm filming. It's a little easier in the bathroom. You're gonna see where it looks like I've been growing my hair out a lot less time. See, it starts to get darker right around there at 3 inches. And I should have probably at least 4.5. So my white hairs are really coming out to here already. It should look like it's out to here. But because this got so discolored in that whole mishap thing that happened, it was very shortly after I posted my 7-month video. It was a couple days later, I actually think. And I believe I had talked in that video about some stuff I was planning to film for you, and it really got derailed because of this happening. And this was my whitest area in here, and this looks like it's, you know, grown out the least, but it does look like it's starting to lighten up in here. So I don't know, in a way, I mean, some of this information could almost double as like my hair mishap update, but it also affects my talking about my hair growth, how much hair growth I have of my new color in relation to how long ago I stopped dyeing my hair, because it doesn't look like it should. It doesn't look like it was a continuation of where I was at the 7-month point. I am curious as to if this has gotten any lighter. Yeah, this was my whitest part, my friends, and I remember being a little disappointed about that when I first started growing my hair out, because I knew it was going to be largely hidden, because my hair, my face looks better if my hair swirls over to this side. It doesn't look as attractive if it goes the other way. And I do have some white, like extra white in here, but it's not as much as what's really growing here. And I remember being a little bit bummed about that, because I kind of wanted more white to be like visible. But yeah, now it's just kind of covered. You can definitely see, if you look back in here, I mean, there's not as much white, but you can see where the trees in the background. So I'll try to move a little bit. You can see that there's the line of demarcation. It's faded a bit now, you know, because it's been so long that in time the demarcation line does start to fade out. Now this, I think, does look like it's about 5 inches. Let's take a look at that. So you can kind of see this area back here didn't get so affected. And I'm guessing it's probably because when I take a shower and do my hair, probably like most of us, we have the shower coming from behind us, and we tip our head back and let the shower spray, you know, hit from behind and then drain that way, so it's not coming in our eyes. And I think that because the water was hitting directly on this area of my head, whatever happened got those parts, but this area back here was more protected because it wasn't on the top layer. Now you can see I have a lot of nice white in there. Okay, but let's look at this. Oh, I kind of could be an octopus right now, would be helpful. Or at least like if I had 4 arms. Alright, so it's hard to see, but maybe, yeah, I think that does look like it comes to about the 5-inch point. It's a little hard for me to tell, and the screen's a little small. It's definitely at least looking like 4.5 or 5 inches is grown out. Excuse me, I can't talk tonight. Oh my gosh. I think it's close to that 5-inch point, maybe a little bit under, which, you know, might be reflective of what I was noticing at the 6-month point, that at least at that point my hair growth rate had dropped down a little bit. I have been changing my diet a bit for the better. So, not that it was horrible before, I've always eaten a bit cleaner and a bit healthier, but by my standards of what that is, I hadn't really been doing as well as I have at times done, and I have been really working toward shifting my way back to that. And I actually have something I want to share with you. I'm not going to do it here though because I kind of want to stay on one topic per video to the best degree that I can. So that number one, they're not too long. I know nobody really likes very long videos. And also if someone isn't interested in something else, they don't really have to be like subjected to it within a video that contains information that they are interested in, because I know I don't really appreciate that myself either. I have some stuff I want to share with you, and I know that mainly I've been talking about hair on my channel lately, and and I do plan to continue to talk about that, because I think a lot of us who are transitioning our hair out are not like 20 anymore, that some of us might actually be feeling some aches and pains that perhaps we didn't used to have. In my case, I have actually always had some trouble with pains in the back of my neck. Even when I was in my early 20s is when I started noticing that. And I've had some really interesting experiences with some different food. And because of the fact that I haven't always been so excellent about my diet, and I have kind of bounced around with different ways of eating, and once I was on a particular way of eating, I'd stay on it for a while and then kind of switch to something else, I started noticing something really consistent over time, and it actually made my pain go away, and it was all with food choices. And so I am definitely going to be sharing that with you in an upcoming video that I plan to film myself talking about very, 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 very soon. So anyway, sorry, I know in past transition videos I've done a much better job of just showing you the grow out, but because of this mishap thing, there's definitely been some stuff I have to say about it, especially for viewers who may not have seen very many of my videos before, or maybe any at all. Then they might look at this and say, she's been growing her hair out for 10 months. Well, is she lying? Did she put something over there, like, and is fibbing about it? Because I mean, look at this, my friends, it looks like a funky blonde color and not really an attractive one. And that's one thing that's been really hard for me about this, is that at about the 5-month point, I think I talked about this in a video around the 5-month point, is when I started to really notice how pretty my skin color looked, to me anyway, against this, well, this isn't even really it anymore, because something is still going on. Like, it's not as bad as what happened that one day, but this isn't how my hair was looking up through the 7-month point. And that real color of my own color makes my skin look really nice. And I haven't seen that ever since this happened. And so it's been pretty tough to deal with. So I will talk about some of what that's been like in a different video in case anybody wants to see that. And I know that a lot of you haven't had any mishaps. Most of you probably really haven't. And so you've kind of just had to deal with the difficulties of just the transition itself, which can be kind of trying at times, right? So in some ways, I know that it's beyond what most of you have had to really deal with, but if anything, I hope it just makes you perhaps feel a bit better about the difficulties that you've had to sometimes feel within yourself, within just the regular issues of the transition. All right. Anyway, thanks for joining me here again. I have all kinds of really awesome things I want to be talking to you about, sharing with you. A lot of them I really wanted to talk about, and I had been planning to talk about at the point I made my 7-month video. But when this happened, it was hard for me to conceive of actually going on video at that point and talking about it, because my hair was so discolored that it really looked like I had barely been growing it out at all. And I felt that especially if new viewers would be watching, that they would think that I was just like a faker, trying to talk about something that I didn't really have that much experience with, because it just really genuinely didn't look like I had been growing out my hair as long as I actually had. So anyway, I have all of that stuff I want to get back on track with, that I've really been wanting to share with you for a while, and it was really, really disappointing and really sad for me to feel like I couldn't move forward with it at that point. Anyway, thanks again. I will look forward to reading your comments as usual, so please leave them for me below and let me know what you think about this, especially if you've seen my videos before, if you saw what was going on with the mishap. Let me know if you think it looks better in your memory. It's just a little hard for me to tell. because I kind of see myself more regularly in the mirror than obviously you have been seeing me in my videos. So, alright, thank you, and I will be back with more. Talk to you soon.